What's good? What's good? What's good? Hmm. We need to talk. Um, because I need to give you guys an update on what's been good with me. Um, a lot has been going on. A lot which is wholesome and healthy, and um, and some of, I guess, of some turbulence or bumps in the road, but all of it necessary, I believe, for growth and evolution as a person. Of course, I'm still making music. Um, I know it's been almost a year, over a year since I posted. I've been mad quiet, you know. When I say posted, I mean on my actual feed, but I try to, support the city and, retweet and repost and whenever I can, just to show support and to share news that's important to me, important to us. But outside of that, I've been contemplating, thinking. I've had a lot of time since I've been out of ministry to be able to really think critically about my past, my present, and what my future may look like. I'm also learning what it means to be a more dedicated father, more dedicated husband, and still a community leader, um, even with scars and even with the trauma that I am healing from. I know this smile is one of that. My wife just reminded me today of how beautiful it is to her. Um, but to someone who deals with depressions, it's not always easy to see that, right? So we're gonna get into that. But before we dive into that, in my planning my family's future, and I've been thinking a lot about my ancestors. I've been thinking a lot about my grandparents. I've been thinking a lot about my parents. And so I wanted to start this video off with gratitude, like straight up thankfulness, um, for those who have entered into my life, those who have um, played a hand in, in that African proverb of it taking a village to raise a child. From the whoopings, the scoldings, to the lessons taught and learned, from the many days my grandparents, or my grandfather rather, would take me to the country and taught me all about fishing and hunting and outdoors, and appreciating, nature. My granny teaching me about grace and servitude, and a soft spirit, an enduring spirit. My uncles, my cousins. I can go on and on of the people who have poured into me personally. And so I want to say thank you. I also want to say thank you to the artist community because, man, I've had about 7,000 on IG. Shit, I don't know how much on Facebook, about 20 on Twitter, yo. And that's what releasing an album, what or releasing a project or a song every other year, every 2 or 3 years. Y'all have been good to me, and I know that. And I dare not, or it is never my intent to take my supporters or my fans for granted. So thank you for all your support these years. I also want to thank the artist community, particularly, um, you know, uh, the CHH community. And the reason, and for those of you who don't know what CHH means, that means Christian hip hop. And so let me set this, set the premise of what this conversation is. This is an inside conversation. I should have started off with that, but this is an inside conversation with those who call themselves Christian or have been following my work since 2002, 3. I don't know. Whenever my first record I produced on Cross Movements record, but this conversation is for the spiritual community um, that I belong to, and so I want to continue. You may see me looking down to my right or left, depending on what this camera is doing, because my notes are there. So I want to make sure I stay on topic. But the artist community, and I'm starting with CHH first. To the Cross Movement, y'all have given me some of the best years of my life. Like when I think about uh, when I remember what it was to be a young artist, like y'all were a hell of a role models. The business shit was kind of messed up, um, but a lot of labels, fall guilty to that. Lessons learned. But I learned so much from y'all. I learned how to love purpose over industry. You know, I learned uh, a lot about hard work. Being in big studios took me to y'all being signed. Like I cut my first record in the studio, Larry Gold's studio, and because of that relationship, that transpired to Larry Gold playing strings on my first album for free because he double booked me with Jill Scott. I can go on and on and on, but you guys have blessed me from your music to your ministry to your leadership. From Lecrae, Andy Mineo, Flame, Jason, Thizzle, just to name a few. Thank y'all. Tadashi, the whole Reach Records squad, man. Thank y'all for uh, letting this young soul shine. You know what I mean? I was making waves. I was, man, doing my thing with Cross Movement. But um, when Craig came on and I did Jesus Music and a few others, it was like stratosphere. But I've put in work. I've put in work, and I've put in work with the CHH community. I'm grateful for our time together. We made history. I won my Grammy with Lecrae and with and a few other brothers that I respect from that community. Much gratitude and thank you, and for amazing times. Oh, my homie, The Truth. Can't forget you, Dirty. You're one of my favorite artists to work with. So many creative and spiritual conversations that changed me and molded me to who I am now. So thank you for that. And then to close friends, family, y'all played a part and keeping my mind together this past decade when I didn't know what was going on. From not just us being there from each other, but just being my partner, my homie, my dog, somebody who loves me for me, y'all, and let me name names. There's uh, Flame when he was in town, Stefan, uh, Jason, um, Mike Milton. I got a few more that hold me down, and shout out to a few of my mentors, Pastor Davey Williams, Aaron Layton, and a lot of other bros that I've had a lot of hard conversations with, and that I've shared my injuries with, and have shared life with. Blood, sweat, and tears. Straight, I slay a nigga for my partners. You hear me? These partners I would die for. No question asked. These are my day ones, from that community. And so thank you. Shout out to my best friend Brad, man. You in every space of my life where I've hit sort of like these spiritual roadblocks where I can't make sense of what was in the scriptures. You was always 2, 3, 4 years ahead of me. And I'd be like, big bro, tripping. You on something different. But little did I know um, that nah, you were as sober minded as ever. And I was the one who was asleep. But we'll talk more about that. Um, to my baby, to my family, to my wife, to my kids, um, Keenan, Liam, Lizzie, Paco. Um, y'all are why I wake up and do this every morning. Y'all are why I fight my mind and I fight um, when it's harder to fantasize dying than it is living. Sometimes, most of the times, y'all are the only thread holding me from this life and the next. Not now, um, but when I'm in my episodes. Um, that's what you are and are daily to me. Thank you, baby. Your unwavering love, prayers, tolerance, long suffering with me has been exemplary for uh, any human being on this earth. And I always joke, I say, if we split up or something would, um, would cause us to be not be together, I would still be grateful for the love that you showed me. I will not be who I am without you. So thank you, mom, thank you, dad, for your many gifts. Thank you for your prayers, for mom, for your ceaseless prayers. And I know I'm a little distant right now. I know I'm a little in the dark in the cut right now. But your oldest boy does see the light. I do see the light. All right. All right. So let's see. I didn't plan on this being a long video. So let's move on. So let's talk. Let's talk about how I've been, Um lately in the last, 4 to 6 months, I've been pretty good. And I've been pretty good because I've been regulated. So for those who don't know what that means, I've never heard that term, is basically the ability to govern um, your emotions, your emotional life, and real life situations, day to days, minute to minute, hour to hour, second to second. Back in 2000, I don't know. Shit, I mean, I don't know, 8, 9 years ago, I remember telling the elders um, at the church that I felt like my mind was cracking. That you know, um, that I felt like I know I battle with that anxiety, especially when I had to take on real big, challenging tasks. Every failure was magnified by 10, and every victory was played down like, glory to God, or something, like of that nature. But I didn't know to what extent, right? So I didn't know I was short with my kids, short with my wife, short with myself. But we would have meetings, and we were tackling um, a lot of hard situations at my church, local church at the time, and you know, even that I was able to decipher that it was not, or distinguish that it was not the center of this mental anguish. And so I just began to still ask for prayer and still tell the wife like something was going on. But I did notice that I had an emphasis on when I would make mistakes, and I had an emphasis on self-hate, self-talk, whenever negative talk when I would make a mistake. Fast forward to, well, let me say this. going, experiencing that mental state of mind while losing multiple people that I love to heart attacks. Um, my best friend and my father. Shout out to my homie E. Rest in power. Which myself, I've had several heart attacks because I inherited it from my parents. But when you go through that, you go through loss of life, loss of relationship, loss of income, and just loss. It was one point in time I was like, God of shit. I was like, if you're trying to kill your boy, just do it. Even though I wasn't thinking, reasonably. But that was a hard season. And so going through a lot of that, fast forward to now, I found out that I have been diagnosed with major depressive disorder, ADHD, and bipolar 2. And all three of those were a shocker. But I knew something was wrong with me. And so, upon those revelations, I had to do something about it. I had to go get therapy. Shout out to Don, like you've been holding me down. And dang, I forgot old boy before her, but you know what I'm talking about. Shout out to you, bro. Um, because counseling is a must when you're dealing with ailments of the mind. I most definitely hope to heal from all of this stuff, or believe I will heal from it because I don't, I don't believe I'm gonna succumb to it. Shit, I believe I will overcome it. And so therapy is a must, right? So anybody that's going through depression, if you've lost somebody, if you can't shake that feeling of toxic talk to yourself, if you find yourself drinking or smoking or doing anything, if you feel like your mind is effed up, please go get help. I can't stress that enough. Let's talk about where I've been. I've been in self-preservation mode. I've been in discovery mode. I've since 2020, my existence as I knew it has changed. So let me start by giving a timeline of events. I want to say back in 2019, right before COVID hit, I have just took a sabbatical from my duties at my local church because it had been a hard season. And then while I hadn't been on the board of elders long, man, we was doing we was doing 5 a.m. meetings, 7 a.m., 6 a.m. We was having 2 meetings sometimes. Man, I can't even. Hey, white people, white churches, y'all have too many meetings. That's for another story. But I need to take a break, and so I told the elders, and just told my people, I was like, man, after we get a pastor in here, this new elected pastor, I'm gonna mash out for a couple months, and take a sabbatical. But oh, was I not prepared? You know, they joked with me. And it was like, hey, they was like, make sure you come back now. Because they know many pastors, boy, once you hit that sabbatical and you start thinking, you just start thinking or you start wilding. They're going to come back with the resignation papers. But I took a sabbatical, and during that sabbatical, um, George Floyd happened. And this phenomenon hit me different than, what our city of St. Louis did with Mike Brown. This was um, this was something that, for me as an American man from African descent, seeing this this movie played out so many times on the streets of America, I was like, out of all the ones we didn't seen, I'm like, man, it's the most clearest proof that we got a policing problem that I've ever seen captured on video, right? At least in the last decade. So, you know, as I'm sitting back on sabbatical, of course I'm looking, I'm weighing in, reading the news, I'm watching everything, but I'm still trying to stay back and not be too involved in that whole thing. But I remember going on Facebook. I remember going to our church's page, and some of the parishioners that were there and their pages, and then some of the conversation that we're having. And I ended up getting sucked in for about 3 hours, and what I saw disgusted me. Um, what I saw, I guess what I was hoping to see was, at least first, the Christians, no matter what your ethnicity or race is, you could see this and be like, man, we need reform. Like, that's wow. Like, that's crazy work that we just saw somebody murked by the police on camera. But to my surprise, what I saw looked more like tribalism. It was most of white Christians on this side saying, what did he do? What did they do this time? Oh, it's always something. If he just would have, gotten a job and not been doing anything illegal, if he just would have, whatever. It's always, that's what I was hearing. And then from those who seem to have I don't know, black, but those who, because I had a lot of white brothers and sisters hit me up saying, like, JR, I'm not with that shit. And so I'm talking about I'm trying to be careful with my words, but then it was a side that was mostly African American, and, those who kind of in the justice work, if that even makes sense, right? Because we all should be. And that question made me, not question, but that dichotomy made me say, or ask the question rather, damn, are we worshiping the same Jesus? And while being on sabbatical, that question rang loud to me, that I could not shake it, because I saw something that I thought, my faith or my religion would have conquered. And what I saw was very much alive. So I began to think, like, is there something to how how white supremacists, and I'm not saying this is, who was in my church, even though you never know what a person's, personal life is like. But I'm trying to understand how somebody like a Donald Trump, with all of the atrocities, and all the shit this dude been guilty of. Like, I'm just using him because we've publicly seen him disgrace himself, his wives, his children in America. But then to be held by Christians as God's man, like, that confuses me as a person who seeks truth, and a person who has lived 20 years following the same Jesus. So you can see how I'm kind of like, yo, this crazy. From there, I was confronted with a ton of new information that came from me asking that one question. Because from that one question, I wanted to know the origin of, the Abrahamic religions. These collection of writings that I've held as the Word of God, it started to look like anything but that. Let me tell you what I mean. From here, I begin to pose hard questions. Like, as I would learn certain things, I would ask my mentors, ask my bros who consider my brother in the faith. I'm like, yo, how do you explain this? Yo, I got a question about this. Have you ever seen this? Um, and I would, either get no answers or, say or get that there's no answer to that. Some of those issues were, just name them. The creation story, Adam and Eve. God sanctioning rape, torture, slavery, and hate towards the other, sexism, and more in the Old Testament. God's sovereignty and the problem of suffering, God and the existence of evil. Biblical events and characters having no real historical proof, like David and Goliath, the Great Exodus, the Red Sea splitting, you name it, the Tower of Babel, the flood story, Noah's Ark, and etc. Things that when you look for their actual evidence for their actual existence in the real world, there is none. And the little that's found is usually, magnified or, perpetrated as actual proof by those of us, who call themselves theists. Another issue was the Roman Catholic Church and its hand in chattel slavery. Constantine and his role in Christianity's dominance in the West, and also, last but not least, the 42 laws of Ma'at, or the negative confessions found on Kemet, or Egyptian hieroglyphics, 4,000 years before Abraham would even be born. Right? That alone is still rocking me. So at this point, I've got so many questions and so little answers. And so, as one who is a truth seeker, you can understand that these were some big issues that I had to get over or had to deal with. Never got over them, still haven't got over them. But at the time, I was like, you know what? This is heavy. And I don't have the answers for this. And I was like, God, my heart is in the right place. You know that I'm struggling. But you know my heart, right? That was sort of my prayer. Those were a lot of questions, and those among probably 100 more that I just began to, as I just studied like life outside of the Bible, as I studied history, as I studied the totality of my existence, not through the lens of the Bible. It was like Neo, confronted with those pills of Morpheus. And I took the one that showed me the truth. You know, that was a lot, and I shared all that to say that I no longer believe the claims of the Bible, and that includes Jesus being God. I don't believe the resurrection. I don't believe that it was made up by those who missed him, those who were used to deifying great leaders in their eyes as customs as people did back then, Um, and ultimately, because what I read in the scriptures, the stories, people, places, and things, when, in the face of objective reality, don't hold water. I'm the same person. I'm just healing from an injured mind and an injured heart. And that started way, 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 way before I even became a Christian, to come from not just, Courtney Orlando as an artist, but also as J.R. as a producer. Also, you know, JR as a father, because tomorrow my son, my oldest son, Keenan Orlando Stefan Peebles, is getting married. Yo, you heard that right. Your boy is old enough to have a son that's 25. So that's going to be exciting. Looking forward for our family celebrating this new venture together with this bride, Shariah. So thank you, love, for making my son happy, and we look forward to celebrating with y'all. As a producer, I got a number of projects that I'm working on. I got two that I'm developing and two in the cut. So Tank the Machine, local artist from St. Louis, I'm producing. We about 12 songs in. Shom, who's from St. Louis, Marvell Q, who's from St. Louis, artists who I put them up against anybody young, up and coming. We got projects in the cut. And lastly, I'm developing my girl cousin, London Rose. So we're about 11 songs in. And she's a rapper. She goes. So I'm excited for y'all to hear this. And ultimately, your boy's coming out with two projects, a EP that you will be able to get your hands on in a couple of weeks. And because I'm releasing it straight to consumer, and also a full-length album, maybe like 14 songs that will come early next year. So I'm learning how to love. I'm learning how to live again through lenses that that through worldviews that don't make me or don't command me. But I'm learning how to love and live because I exist, because I am a part of everything that is. And if there is some deity, if there is, I don't, which I doubt, I could probably will consider that, call that to me, and what you would call a deity, I would call that energy or the universe. And I know it seems cliche, and I know y'all like, oh, here we go, what he been on? But all I've done is just educate myself and go way back to what my ancestors followed and sought after and developed in their own cultures. So I'm learning how to do all of this, living with injuries in my mind, living with some of the relationships that I've kind of messed up through all of this, through me kind of just falling back, including my journey family. Love y'all. Um, um, y'all have not heard the last of me. I got more to say to y'all. I love you. Thank you. I'm learning how to do all of this through the eyes of someone who's agnostic now. An agnostic is a person who is, as I have come to know it, someone who does not have enough proof to believe, enough evidence to believe that a deity exists, but does not have enough proof to dismiss the existence of such a deity. But I'm open. I'm open to however this universe leads me in the exploration of science and evolution of thought and mind and love and justice and nature and the solar system. I'm in fact infatuated with it all. So here's what I need you to do. I want you to know that this is not the end. Actually, this is the beginning. This is the beginning of something new. This is the beginning of me living in my power, if that makes sense. This is me knowing what job I have to do as this human living in this world in this time in history, and the part I play with my gifts, talents, and the things that were gifted by my parents and by my ancestors. And so continue to follow me, man. This about to get lit. I'm about to turn up in this big. You know what I mean? I'm straight about to trust the genius that's always been in me, and just have fun doing it. Shout out to Andy Minio. We had a long convo, and he helped me see some things. Shout out to Tef, Daisy. Shout out to all my partners, man, especially those in the artist community who have embraced me and had to remind me of who I am. All right? Much love to all of y'all. I'm tired as hell. Thank you.